Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Club. My name is Darren Hancock. I'm your host this morning for live trading on the Forex market. We're looking at the euro this morning. I'm liking this little consolidation or breakout, a little fair value gap here, return to. We're going to try going long right here. I like this right off the bat. We're looking for a run back up into this fair value gap, these equal lows right here. Stop loss will go down here. If I lose the midpoint of this, I would have picked the wrong direction. We still have further downside. So kind of keep your eye on this 1 hour candle here. And then we'll look at some of the other stuff. Aussie dollar and all that seem to be consolidating still. The 500, Nasdaq. Nasdaq I still think is heading for this low here. We talked about this yesterday. A lot of consolidation going on in here. The 4 hour, 1 hour. Yeah. This is some of those trades I took yesterday. Unloaded a small position. This had to hold through huge drawdown and then got out of it. This one I took a loss on. This one and these two and that one were positive gains. So still looking for the lower prices on this. We were looking for this yesterday. We were looking for a run down below these lows, and it's been really kind of choppy, but eventually it looks like we're going to head down there and catch the Tuesday, Wednesday low. Wicks. This is the area I want to see it hold price at the very lowest right there. If I lose the threshold, I'm actually going to pull that out beforehand. I don't want to see it start digging down in there. All right. Sorry about that. I'm back. All right. So this is what we're going to pull off of here. I like this. I want to start running up. I like to see a run for these old highs. Like this creates the low for Tuesday. Push up. Look at the daily. What objectives did we hit here? Inside this. Hmm. 106.15. So just a run to these equal lows here will be our objective. I don't want this candle here. It's low to lose price. Let's look at the 500. Get that out of there. Now we've run the lows before 10 o'clock on here, I'm thinking. Yeah, I like the idea that price is going to be running higher. I like that one. Natural gas, what's that up to? It's a lot of equal highs up here. Australian dollar. Look for another dip down into this price imbalance before running back up. There, you got it there. That one's on, I put that one on a long time ago. 500 is finally reaching for our objective from yesterday. Tech is reaching for our objective from yesterday. Call it right, but there was a lot bigger swing past this. Originally I had my stop loss sitting here. We're just about to hit that objective now. We'll run below that low. Looks like we had a bigger deep dig down. Again, I like this area right here as my ultimate one. The middle of these two candles, if you look at the 50% of that, that would be a 2-hour order block. Bottom of that candle, I don't want to see it come down lower than that. That's kind of, and if you pull the fib tool from that whole range there, we've just come down to the 50%, dip below it. We've got into a discount range of this small little high to low that's just created. We've come back into 50% of that, filled the fair value gap, which was sitting right at 50%. The wicks do a little bit of damage, and now we're expecting this to continue up to the upside. Now I don't really want it to revisit this again. It should just pull back up now and just leave town. That's what I'm looking for. Not a lot of talking this morning, sorry. That's the range. Usually there's consolidation, breakout above a consolidation. Again, I like to see a body break out above it. So we finally caught it. Return to a fair value gap inside that, but just above the consolidation. This would be the breaker inside that consolidation for a long. And that's the ideal way to get on that. So we'll see how this plays out. Usually the stop loss goes down here. But if this has any degree of strength, I want to see it take off with a sense of certainty. Stop waffling around here. This is one of those setups that's the setup. There's your breaker, fair value gap, run up, come back down inside the fair value gap and the breaker, and we should get a reaction off of that to go higher. Keep an eye on this for a bit. Like watching paint dry this morning. 10 o'clock's here now, so we'll see what happens around here. Let's get down to the minute. It's good. So we're looking for a quick reaction off of that. And nobody's here to see it. Looking for these equal highs up here right now, and then I think we have it set for a little higher on the hourly. Yeah, we're looking for that first objective up there to clear out. Let's just come right back to that order block. I don't want to start digging back down into this wick. We've got the breaker, fair value gap, order block, return to. We're just going to play it out now and see what happens. On the 1 minute, there's a return to fair value gap here. Here's your breaker, or here's your silver bullet entry. There's 59. There's 10 o'clock. Run down, get your silver bullet, start running back up. Also supports the higher time frame breaker, fair value gap we talked about earlier. Again, breaking market structure slightly to the upside. We have bodies of the candles that break that. Fair value gaps. You get in on these to go long. Entry 1, entry 2, entry 3. See this first big push up, cleaned out these old highs here, back to this little price imbalance, and back to this breaker of that run up above the old high here. I'm hoping that's not the exact spot where it turns around. I'm looking for higher prices. When there's two fair value gaps, I like the second one. There's a little pocket down here. This just came to the top of this fair value gap inversion. We went up through it, came back, tagged the top of it. Now does that hold price? Euro. So 500 finally hit our objective. Yeah, it finally cleared out the bottom of that a few minutes ago. 10 o'clock ran it. So now do we have a turnaround and run back up? Same kind of principle around 10 o'clock or so. We run the lows. Now we're looking for a return. There's 704, 705. So just wait for a breakout above this with a big bull candle, fair value gap, and then return into there to drive back up if this is a low. And we don't like to predict lows, so we're going to wait to see what happens. This is a steady drive down. Do we have further downside? Let's look at the daily here. Oh yeah, we got lots more downside yet. So this could continue on the downside to the daily, weekly, and monthly fair value gap. So I think we called this a few days ago a deeper run down into these areas here. So overall, you're looking to keep pushing this down. Let's look at the hourly for a support on that idea. So we have a breakdown body below this low fair value gap. So we get a return into here. Midpoint of this. I like that midpoint. Get a return to that midpoint there. And this guy is waffling way too much for my liking. I want to see it with sense of urgency. This is getting all choppy in here. See, I like something that just gives me a clean entry and then leaves. Clean entry and then leave. And if it doesn't leave, you get this waffling back and forth. I'm not crazy about that kind of idea. We'll give it a few more minutes here. And I want to see what's going on here on the 1 minute. We have a slight retracement going on. Again, a lot of chop. Too much waffling around for me. We'll wait for a breakout now. We'll wait for some a decent setup to occur. Or I like this idea right here. So 15-minute. What does it look like here? What's gold up to? Remember I was calling for gold to get down into the 1800s? 1904 so far as the low. Yeah. We're going to run this low. We're past the midpoint, so I think I'll run on this low here in gold. Yeah, around the lows, that'll be in the high 1800s. We'll see where that goes today. Is there anything in there for us to get on? I like this 1910. We can get back up into 1910 there. I'll put a little line here for the position I like on there. If we don't get back into here, a continuation is down to that 1901, 1900, 19 big figure on gold. And this is still driving down, so look for this breaker here. If we get a return back into this, now that we've broke that structure, if we get a little fair value gap with a return into here, anywhere inside there, you can take that for a short, for a long-term objective down here, which is what we will take if it continues to manifest. Well, I'm glad I got out of the euro. I didn't like all that waffling. Wasn't making a decisive move, so got out. Slight bit of profit, but we get out. You want something that's got a distinctive run to it. And it was not, I was looking for this here, and I usually go about 3 candles or so afterwards, and then if I'm not seeing anything, I'm out. If it's a 1 minute candle, it's about 5 minutes or so. And if there's nothing happening, I just bail out and wait for a new setup. Which is a good thing because it didn't seem to be manifesting the way we wanted it to. It's still pretty heavy on the downside, like overall. This still could turn around on the hourly and start working its way up now that we've hit that little tiny objective I was talking about here. But again, I'm more impatient. I want things to happen on the 1 minute. Nicer. 1, 2, 3. There's your 3 drives. Look at 3 drives pattern. 1, 2, 3. Now I want to see it get on top of this. This might be just sideline and sit there and watch this day. We might get a move a little later on. Still pushing down. Gold's coming back up into that area we talked about. Not a lot of talking going on here this morning. Kind of too much dead air. And if I was watching this myself, I'd be like, I'm out of here. This guy's not even talking. Let's look at, start from this one. Steady trend down. Wasn't a downside objective. We talked about this already. That was the daily fair value gap we mentioned a few days ago. We drew these all out. So there's your first magnet drawn liquidities down here. And we've had a nice steady run down there in the last couple of days. So look for this area here to draw a price. And we've had just steady down candles, so we might start seeing a reaction off of here, a pullback. Into this area here. Midpoint of this candle. So I'd like to see something that looks more like this. We get a reaction off of here to here. And then barring all the other stuff that we just talked about. All these little hops and stuff. You're looking for a run back up into this area here. That kind of thing. A little pop-up retracement. Don't forget we got October. Looking for an October low. So we may continue to drive all the way down into these areas here for October. Take out this low. And then if we have a seasonal tendency. Keep in mind your seasonal tendencies for October. We could see a run down into here before we have a pullback. So, yeah, we'll kind of look for this one here for daily. Euro. Got a body above it. We came back, we're finding some support here. Is this providing support down in here? No. A little price imbalance down there. Middle of it. It's just eating through all the PD arrays. Now rejection block. So, again, I'm not touching euro now. Not touching euro. Here's 500. Oh, just so you know, we're looking at that's weekly gas. Slow, steady grind up. Finding some big resistance at that $3 level, which tells me it'd be a nice place to get on top of. Once we get on top of that, start pushing our way back up. I want to see a big candle rip up through this though. Rip up, come back down. Either touch the equal highs or create a breakaway gap using this as an inversion gap. As an inversion fair value gap, so you can get on top of it and start pushing up. That's my prediction for, that's what I like to see for September 26th. I want to see in the next few weeks, months, this run. That's the manifesting. I want to see, I'm going to manifest that. Australian dollar, yeah, again, I like Australian dollar in December. So we're in this consolidation for since August 17th. So the last month. We've been pretty sideways. Again, keep your eye on this area here. I'll kind of put the box down here so we can say we did at least drew it in. We'll make that a blue one. Keep your eye on this area here one more time. Drive down. Or clean out these lows before they start to run back up. There's these relative equal lows. I don't think they're going to leave those untouched before the big drive to the end of the year. US Tech. Now, for the 1 minute, I want to see this kind of thing happening here. Again, it's a setup. I like to see this rock climbing. I want to see it break above this. Get some support on it. Start clearing through this one. Get some support on it. If this is a reversal. Which it very much could be, given this time of day. So I want to see this kind of march on top, push up. These little breakaway gap. We're not really clearing any old highs, so there's no real break in market structure yet. This is just one of a few things I'd like to see really support price. I'd like ideally to get above here. Create the gap. I So we have a break-in structure. Right now there's no break-in structure. We're still on this. We're still heavy on this. With a downside objective, I think is... have we run that? No. Yeah, we still haven't run that low. So this could be what retail perceives as support. If we bounce off of this and come back up again, then they're going to look at this as a support level, which will eventually get broken unless they drive through that right now. We got a small little fair value gap down here. So that would be just enough to push through, reach this inside the order block. And if we lose this threshold of this candle, look for these lows in this fair value gap down here. So let's go in the hourly here, see what we got. Maybe one little push up. Get back up into the midpoint of that fair value gap on the 15-minute. So the 1 minute is that little block. Yeah, there we go. This would be a snipe, a real quick run on your cash for the day. That's the support level. That's one. I want this one right here. I'm being a little picky, I know. I may not get it, but that's okay. That's a breakaway. I want this gap to stay open down here. That was your entry right there. Just coming back to tag the top of the order block. Look, you see right there, that order block gets validated when you get above it. Body comes back, tags it right there, right on the top. Now does it continue to push up? This becomes a propulsion candle. Breakaway gap. And you're running for these old highs here and that fair value gap above. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that. And then run up for a high and this old high up here, which is that those new week opening gaps. Are we going to get in now? Come back and tag it one more time. You're going to dip in there just a little lower for me to get in. Still haven't broken structure really to the upside yet. But we'll go long if it gets here. Your retail people love seeing these little bull flags. And this is where a bull flag just might come in handy. If we come down into that, this is a lower probability trade because we haven't really broken any structure to the upside yet. No, I'll take it. This needs to remain open. Now I want to see this with some gusto. Get up in here now. At least the 50% of that range that's just been created this morning. As soon as it gets above here, I'm just going to drop a stop loss in here. I'm just keeping a visual eye on this. Ideally, your stop loss is down here. But that's it. I don't want to see, I want this thing to provide some support, and I don't want to see it get retaken. And I like to see something with some certainty start to leave here now. We've also hit the midpoint of this fair value gap right here. I just want to let this sit in here and just kind of observe it for a while. You want to see it start to really get some momentum here. Using our foothold pattern that we mentioned in other videos. That whole climb above, get on top, make this now an inversion fair value gap. So as we climb up, we come back, find some support at it. You can step down into it. Bottom. Then you want to see a nice reaction off of it like this. And I like to see this gap stay open. So if we don't revisit this one and we do create a fair value gap there, ideally you'd like to see a piece of that stay open as a breakaway gap. Now as soon as it gets this high here, take out 10%. Here's how you take out 10%. There you go, 0.2. And then you take out 10%. Pay yourself, always pay yourself. We're still not above that. Now if it comes back to here, I don't want that. I don't want it to come back into here. So this comes the order block, get above it, come back inside it. Right there. %50 of this wick. And we are looking for lovely run. Nice. Now we can move this. I'm going to move this one to here. I'm going to move in profit so we can take it. There's no stress on this trade now, so we'll make sure that we've nice. Take out another 10% up here because we just broke our highs. So you take out 2, close that off. Inside our box. We can take another 10%. Now I want to see this hold price. So we're at 62% retracement. That's the area where we got some cash out. We're going to close that out right now anyway. I'll take that one out. Now, and back into here, I'd like to see this come into here. Either that supports price, or it will come back into equal highs. This is a measuring gap. Oh, I like like that spot. We'll just see if this continues to hold price. If it doesn't, this order block right here is the important one. I want to see this order block hold price, and we'll push back up again. We'll reach for these. That objective is almost finished. This one becomes the breaker. Last up close candle before run below lows. So I want to see that breaker kind of hold price. I'm out of that one. I don't think that's going to hold price. I wanted this thing here to hold price. Body started going through it, closed on it, like get out. So you're looking for a return into this swing low here. The finishing of this fair value gap here. Or does this provide us some support again? Let's wait and see. If it takes this low, I'll put a stop loss down here. We're looking for this to fill now. That's taken. Oh, did we say this is a higher time frame objectives to go lower? Yeah. Be careful here. This could be our continuation. Now, we only wanted it to come back to a certain level. 62% retracement, and then continue pushing down. So This will be, excuse me, this will be, fib tool from there to there. That's the little range we just created. Now we're inside that one. So you're looking at 62%. You're back and forth. So we got 62% of that range. So far 62% of this range. And we got a little chunk of change down in here. Fair value gap. Hasn't quite been filled, but we have run that low. You got little pockets of stuff up here. Inversion gaps there. When you're at 50%, which direction can you go? Well, you can still push for lower prices down here. You can push for higher prices, so I'm out till we decide which direction they want to go. I like this further downside. The breaker. Now that we've run these lows, this becomes the breaker for the up. Bullish breaker, bearish breaker. Last down close candle before a run above old highs. Last up close candle before a run below old lows. So just keep an eye on this getting heavy now. We could return up into a 50% of this little range here, inside that fair value gap, inversion gap. May get a piece of inversion there, and then run down again. Sideways again. Let's go back to the old euro and see what that's up to. Oh, that did continue on the downside. Up inside the breaker. Hit it multiple times. And this becomes the breaker the moment we get below this. Fair value gap. Or we certainly get below here. Here's the swing point. That becomes the breaker. Fair value gap. Breaker inside the fair value gap. Come back up. Look at that. Bang. Right on the money. That's the bet the house trade. Plastic house. The Barbie house. Not the real one. Breaker. As soon as we get below this, up close candle, runs below the old low. You come back up into the breaker. Bang. Perfect entry. Short. I have another one here, fair value gap. This is actually the order block. Inside. So we're looking for, this is 50%. So any one of these entries would be considered good for a short. Stop loss goes above here. So I'll look for this little pocket in here. It's already hit 50% of that range. So from there, you can just turn around and go down. This could be just a breakaway gap inside this breaker here. So, like I said, that could be any entry there to go short. Let's look back over at tech, see what tech did. It still doesn't come back to our area, but we are getting a bit of a pullback. Look for this area here. Or if we get a big pullback into this breaker here. I like that idea right there. Inversion gap. Come back, edge of it, inside the breaker. Then you've got a shorter stop loss. It's hard to call, really. You could, that's an upside. I want to get discount to run back down. And does this hold price here? Does this gap stay open? We'll keep pushing up. This is where your bear flag will fail if you come all the way back into here. I can argue both sides of that, so when you can, you stay out. What's oil up to? Oh, that had a nice little run this morning. Swept some old lows. Here's that same principle I was telling you about earlier. There's the break-in market structure. We have a body break above it, right here. And then you get this candle here, come all the way back down inside this inversion fair value gap. All the way back up to it. Here's another example. This here is a fair value gap. It's a SIBI, sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency. We come back into it, fill it, and we go through it. And the moment you go through it with a body, it now becomes an inversion fair value gap. And when we trade back to it, or just inside it, and this is your telltale right here, when it comes all the way down, tags this wick, and leaves, that's a load the boat trade right there, which I missed this morning. But that's the same kind of thing we've been trying to go over every day in our little breakfast club, is these inversion fair value gaps and how to get leverage and how to get a foothold on running for higher prices. There's a gap here. This is called a gap when you have no price delivery on either side from that low to that high. There's no delivery of price there. That's an actual gap. Okay. So you want to see price deliver inside there. So we have a buy side only. We don't have a sell side in there yet. We're on top of a daily fair value gap. We just reached the top of it. So if you're looking for higher time frame exit points, if this was the one that you were going to key off of this morning, the moment we got on top of this fair value gap here, and you say, I'm getting in here, you get in on top 100 pips. That's 100 pips right just to the top of the fair value gap, and you're out. Take the highs. That would be your entry, because the wicks did a little bit of damage, cleaned out the highs here. Bodies are respecting the high of the fair value gap, so that would be the objective for the day on oil. Didn't see it. Gold heading down to where I said. There's 1904. We're heading down into here, 1901. I'm just going to go over that one. Here we go. 1901. We're taking the lows now. high 1800s. That was my call. And we're still inside the weekly fair value gap, so that comes all the way down into here, and then we got lower time frame stuff to go to, so we could get it well into the 1800, 1850s. I'll work all the way through that 1800 section now. Got relative equal lows. Okay. Have you sold gold? $1,900 on the Beezer. Right. Big figure. Now places like central banks, big investors, they look for these big figure levels. These 1900 00 levels, 05 levels. I'm not worried about this little stuff. That could be a settle point right there. Settling on the day there at 1900 big figure. Institutional levels, as Michael calls them. Let's go back to our there's your, what are we looking for there? What's that, a 15-minute? Oh yeah, that was the breaker. We worked through it, come back to it. Now we're getting short. So you eat through that breaker. You come back inside of it. Providing support and continuation on the downside. We're jumping around between so many, we're missing these opportunities here. We've come all the way down now into this lower one. We said it'd be heavy, didn't quite get back up into our 50% of our range. Look for these lows here. And there's this tiny pocket of buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency. We'll go for a few more minutes here, and then we'll cash this in for the day. A little bit of profit on the old live account. We did have some break even. What did we do on the 6.5? Well, we got some yesterday and today. I think we're overall we're on top. So I'll look for this pocket down in here, this order block. We came up to it, came back down, tagged the top of it. We didn't come back into the body of the threshold. That little gap is still open here. Look for a run below these lows. Now, I think we said tech was heavy anyway, so we're looking for further downside in tech into that little pocket down there, so, and to clean out these old lows. So I don't expect that fair value gap to hold on the 1 minute, obviously. I do like that downside though. So we're going to go short on the downside. I'm going to use the edge of that breaker as my support. I expect this to provide support now. See, it was nice how we were paying the trader on the way up, taking our 10% out, taking another 10% out when you cleared these old highs. Because when it reverses on you, you could be, and if you just held that and you think, I'm going for the old highs, the old weekly high or whatever, you wouldn't have made anything. You would have, it would have come all the way back and taken your stop loss. You didn't get anything. Always pay the trader on the way. There's plenty of these setups that happen every day that you can pay yourself along the way. You don't have to do it all in one slam. This looks like the weekly objective for me is into this fair value gap here. All right, that's my objective for the day. Let's see if we can get the rest of that. Just to run these lows back into this fair value gap here. And that'll be cleaning up. So tomorrow I'll let you know whether or not this panned out. You guys have a great day. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for turning into the Breakfast Club. Nobody turned up, but that's okay. I'm all right with that. This is about my journey. Have a great day.